Hello there, we're looking at integers here. Integers are a special kind of number that are very important to 7th grade. They are rational numbers. We can think of integers as the positive whole numbers and their opposites. So the opposite of a positive number is a negative number. So we have these counting numbers and then their opposites. Another interesting fact about integers is it's kind of fortunate that you live where you live. Kids from Minnesota and Wisconsin and North Dakota, hey, they do much better with problems involving integers than do kids from Texas and California and Florida. And the reason is because of our weather. If you think about January and February, it can get pretty cold here. Temperatures fall far below zero. So kids from these northern states, they're exposed more to integers. So they understand these negative numbers a little bit better than the kids from warmer states that never see the cold temperatures. So let's take a look at some definitions here. We can think of integers as positive whole numbers, and we also include the negative numbers. So those are our definitions for integers. Moving right along, we have some examples of integers. Now notice my number line, I have those dots at the beginning and the end of my number line. That just means it goes on forever in both directions. Starting with -5 and -4, we're working all the way up to a +5. As we go to the right, our values are bigger. And as we go to the left on the number line, our values get smaller. So here's one of the things that kids often get confused with. You take the integer -3 and the integer -5. They make the mistake of saying that -5 is bigger than -3. Actually, which is further to the right on the number line? Pause, 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 pause. Oh, that kid in the front row. It's it's -3, Mr. Burns. Oh, he's right. Yes, -3 is bigger than -5. So just keep that in mind, the place on the number line to determine what numbers are bigger. Okay, so we can think of integers as moving in the forward direction, and that means negative integers you think as moving in a backward direction. We're going to go and do some multiplication and division, and that's all we'll do in this lesson. But we have some rules of thumb to remember for multiplying integers. Anytime you take a positive number times another positive number, your answer is going to be positive. Now if you mix the two, if you take a positive number times a negative number, your answer will always be negative. So positive times positive is positive. Negative times a positive will equal a negative number. And then you have the last situation, which is negative times negative. And your answer there is always going to be positive. So you have two negative numbers and you're multiplying them together, you will get a negative answer. And I'm going to try to use my pen here. Looks like, let's just -3 times -3. Okay, both of my numbers are negative. If I read my rule, it says negative times negative is positive. So what is 3 times 3? That's right. I saw you raising your hand back there. Glad you didn't blurt. We have a special term called the multiplicative inverse, and that is any two numbers that we multiply together and their product is 1. So 5 times 1/5, the answer to that problem is equals 5 over 5. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. Okay, what if I would do, oh, let's take 7. The multiplicative inverse of 7 would be 1/7. When I multiply these two numbers together, I would get 7 over 7. 7 divided by 7, The answer is 1. There you go with multiplicative inverse. Rules for dividing integers then. These say that we have a positive number divided by a positive number. Your answer is always going to be positive. In the situation where you're mixing the two, you're taking a positive number and you're dividing it by a negative number, your answer will always be negative. If you take a negative number and divide it by another negative number, your answer is going to be positive. It might be kind of handy for you to make a little chart of these rules for multiplying and dividing integers. You're going to be doing a lot of that, so this will come in handy.